to sell ourselves. This is the American dream in the Midwest.
Doing it as meaningfully as possible is what fires you up. You can do that here.
I grew up in Indiana, so don't think that you can't do nothing because I'm doing it.
What are some creative ideas or things that you're trying to bring to life in Terre Haute? From South Bend to Evansville and everywhere in between, this is Get In, the show focused on the Hoosier State and the incredible stories happening here today. I'm Nate Spengel, founder of Get Indiana, and I will be your host for today's conversation. Before we get into it, just a reminder, this episode of Get In is brought to you by Cluster Truck, Indy's go-to delivery kitchen. If you haven't tried Cluster Truck yet, you are missing out. They have over 100 menu items, everything from hand-stretched pizza to tacos, salads, breakfast burritos, and my personal favorite, the Pad Thai Add Chicken. They've got something for everyone, plus delivery is always free. Now here's the best part. If you order right now, by the time this podcast is over, your Cluster Truck order will already be at your door. It's that fast. So whether you're catching a game or just too busy to cook, head to clustertruck.com, order now, and use code INDY, I-N-D-Y, at checkout for 20% off orders of $25 or more. Trust me, your stomach's going to thank you. Reminder, that code is INDY, I-N-D-Y. Now let's get into the episode. Today, we've got a special dynamic duo in the studio. Sampson Levingston, back by popular demand.
Let's go.
Indiana storyteller-in-chief and founder of Walk and Talk Indy. And he brought, drum roll please, Brandon Sakbun, U.S. Army veteran and the youngest mayor in Terre Haute history, baby. We're talking Terradice today.
Well, there it is. I was about to say, before we get going on Terre Haute, it's actually Terradice. But no, it's good to be on the show. And I love your listener viewership from across the state. Showcase on the 812 what we have to offer, because it is different than the 317 experience. But this collective story called the American Dream, you can live it right here in the Hoosier State. Whether you're in Indy, Elkhart, Terre Haute, and it's great to sell what we offer.
This guy, he's spoken in front of cameras before. He knows a thing or two. I'm super pumped to get into it. We're going to be talking through all things Terradice, past, present, future, what's to expect. There's going to be some side quests. I'm really excited because, Sampson obviously grew up in Indianapolis, but spent 4 of the best years of his life out in Terradice, baby.
I'm an honorary Hoshian, man. Like, y'all have me. You know I'm in Terre Haute.
Sir.
You know, like, that's my city.
He's just as loud at Indiana State games as he is at Pacers games.
Yeah.
Quite the show.
Dude,
I've been seeing Sampson in every Pacers, like in the back of every Pacers shot.
Bro.
He's just going nuts, and hopefully he continues to go, right?
Man, let's go.
We make a little run.
Let's go.
I'm excited to dive into it. Yeah. Obviously, you're Brandon, you grew up in Terre Haute, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And then you went to IU Bloomington.
I did.
Spent some time in the military. Returned to be the youngest mayor in Terre Haute history. That's crazy.
So let's walk through 2 journeys to kick us off. First, my personal journey. I'm the son of immigrants. My mom's the youngest of a lot of kids. Grew up in a coffee bean farm in Jamaica. My father is a Cambodian genocide survivor, and he obviously really remembers when America left Southeast Asia and Vietnam post-war. Led to genocide by the Pol Pot regime, the Khmer Rouge. Fought hard to come to America, became a doctor. He saw so much death, he wanted to bring life into this world. So he became an OBGYN, focuses on difficult situations for women in childbirth. And they chose Terre Haute, Indiana for 2 reasons: property tax and potential, right? This is a town with not 4 institutes of higher learning, Ivy Tech, St. Mary of the Woods. Shout out to our engineers at Rose-Hulman Institute of Technology. And of course, Indiana State University. Crossroads of America, super close to Indianapolis, few hours away from Chicago and St. Louis. And then you looked at Terre Haute, 1970s, that population was peaking. Manufacturing was rolling in. The downtown was booming. Of course, Terre Haute used to be Sin City. Now we have a casino, so not that type of sin. But what happened, right? From 1970 to 2025, population of 59,000 and a couple hundred. We did have a population increase last year. I helped cause that by having a daughter.
Effect.
By having a daughter, yeah.
The Sakbun effect is real.
Exactly. I believe in adding to the population. No. What I think is interesting is communities like Terre Haute, like Kokomo. We're going to use them as an example too. The United States economy changed. It went from manufacturing-based to a service-based economy. A lot of people will say, well, that's all because of NAFTA. It's a bill from the early 1990s at the federal level. But if you look on a graph over 50 years, the total percentage of manufacturing jobs has been at a decline. When NAFTA, a federal policy, was passed, it did not accelerate that decline. It stayed at a decline Why? Because, companies go to other countries to make things because, one, the workforce, the labor, and two, the American economy is simply different. We don't have as many individuals who want to work in some of these manufacturing style environments. And Terre Haute, instead of diversifying, what I call job diversification, updating its economy to meet the modern times, kind of stayed flat. They waited for another Sony DADC or another Columbia enameling to come in and open up, instead of saying, let's modernize, let's invest in healthcare, let's grow our banking industry, let's support our unions and our skilled labor community, let's invest in teaching. They kind of got stuck in their ways, and you see that in communities where factories shut down. Yes, factories have reopened. Yes, federal policies do help, but the total amount of manufacturing jobs is not the same. Why? Because of technology. We're more productive on the assembly line than we were 50 years ago. That's what we want to be. Terre Haute, 1970s to now, more people were buying more cars. A lot of cities have struggled because as Americans got more cars, they spread out instead of up. So they spread out a little bit. They stretched out their government services. Think police, think fire, think streets.
Yeah, you're talking, we live in where the whole city is the county. I live in Indianapolis.
Exactly.
So you're talking about expanding and stretching out post deindustrialization. We did it here, and you feel the effect still. We kind of reinvested back into downtown. But that's kind of like the same thing Terre Haute had going on in the 70s where
it is.
Who is downtown? What would I do downtown?
Now think 2025. This is going to shock a lot of listeners, but what do Gen Z and baby boomers actually have in common?
Gen Z
I know you talk to all of them, man. Me
boomers.
too.
What do they have in common? I don't know. If you ask a lot of them, they'd say nothing.
Exactly. They'd be like, well, my grandfather's a Fox News guy and I'm a Pete Buttigieg guy. It's like, no. I'm not even talking about politics. I'm talking about natural wants. What they want is, and we see this through studies and data and through the current population.
They want to walk around. They want to walk.
Gosh.
I walk and talk. They want to walk around.
You are literally the first person to answer that question.
They want to have a neighborhood. Listen, they want to have a neighborhood in which everything that they need, they can get because that's how they grew up.
And what do they want? What do they want there? Let's keep going on this. They want to drink.
Yeah, yes.
Eat.
Everything that you can need.
They want some type of shopping. It's
Stuff
usually
to do.
boutique shopping.
Stuff to do.
Stuff to do.
That's the answer.
They want a main street.
Yeah.
They want a main street.
Oh, dude, that's the biggest thing. Check my Instagram comments. There's nothing to do here. It's so boring. There's nothing whether you're 60 or 6, okay, maybe 60 or 16, it's a classic line. There's nothing to do here. It's so boring. And that's why I go out and do all these things. If I'm showing, like, dude,
Same.
you ever been to a show at the Mill? That place will get you
Now
right.
you're hitting.
That'll get you right.
We've had
T-Pain.
Jarul, we've had T-Pain, but Hoosiers want to live a normal modern lifestyle. So they want what we call it a designated outdoor refreshment area, or if you're 21, yes, you can walk from one bar to the other with a drink in a confined area.
Right.
And our downtown, we've got $70 million being invested in downtown Terre Haute. Predominantly private money. That's not public money. That's private. The private sector is saying, no, we bet on this community in this city. That's a town of 60,000 people.
With 70 million committed.
Exactly.
I do want to talk real quick. You talked about putting all of your kind of eggs in the big industry basket, manufacturing specifically,
Yes.
right? When you're relying, I don't know, let's say go back to the 70s, who were the large employers in Terre Haute? Like, what were there, like GM or automotive manufacturing? What was that base at?
Really, you had like the big Sony push. That was more 80s, 90s. But even before that, you had like home products. You even had some of our factories on the river post-World War II and during World War II started manufacturing ammunition. So how it essentially worked, of course, some agriculture as well, how it worked is a lot of these manufacturers could go with the times and move the pieces that they need to produce whatever widget was hot on the market. Well, 50 years later, what's hot on the market, right? Of course, I don't have an iPhone. I have a Droid. I'm one of those guys. But it's like iPhone, screens, technology. Sony DADC, God love them, got crushed when Netflix took off.
I mean, look at a lot of these similar metro. I bet at a time, Anderson, Marion,
Yes.
Come on.
all those places, they relied on the GMs, the Fords, these big industries that weren't, maybe they made a strategic acquisition and had some manufacturing there, but what's the first, they're not going to cut off their home state.
Exactly.
Right? They shut down. The one thing, Jasper is not nearly as big as Terre Haute. It's probably a third of the size.
You mean the Carmel of the South?
Yeah.
That's what I call Jasper.
Do you know why? Do you know why Jasper has continued to rip, and they've funded or they've really built up their entrepreneurial ecosystem?
Yes.
Like those companies that have been born and bred down in Jasper, they didn't rely on their manufacturing jobs to come from GM. They relied on it to come from the furniture making or whatever. And they really took those businesses to the next level. And so when they were doing, like, if there's restructuring or there's cuts to make, it's not coming on your home turf where you have to see those people in church. Like GM comes in or whatever the microchip, like, they're like, oh yeah, cut Terre Haute.
Yep.
Like when you don't build up your current work base or your current entrepreneurial ecosystem, it's easy for whoever that's making the decisions in the boardroom in New York to be like, yep, all right, slice that.
And look at their main street. So Dean Vanderheide, that's their mayor. Great guy. I mean, and yes, he's old enough to be my father, and I just love what he's done to their downtown.
That
I mean,
old
it
theater.
is great.
Yeah. Okay. So as like the evolution of Terre Haute came, obviously a huge family that you have to talk about is the Holman family, right?
Yep.
Maybe you've heard of the fighting engineers of Rose Holman.
Holman Links Golf Course.
Yeah, man. There's like even the Holmans owned the Motor Speedway until about 3-4 years until they sold it to the
5 years ago,
Penske's.
something like that. Yeah.
You know?
So what does that family mean to the city of Terre Haute?
I think what that family means is symbolic of what families of that type and caliber mean to the Terre Hautes of the Midwest, right? There's plenty of other examples of Holman-type families and what they've done to transform communities. Historically, and we were talking about this before the show, you're born and raised in a community, you want to fight for that community, and you're not as apt to move from Terre Haute, Anderson, Muncie, or Kokomo to Indianapolis, right? So you are still keeping some of that, quote, homegrown talent.
Yeah.
That homegrown talent leads to solid homegrown investments. Obviously, Rose Holman, Institute of Technology, giving land to become public municipal golf courses. And those are the types of transformational projects that last for generations. And what I think is unfortunate is I was just at Terre Haute South, my alma mater, and was recognized and able to be in their Hall of Distinction. And I'm looking at the wall of valedictorians.
Yeah.
How many are still in Terre Haute?
How many stayed? I was thinking that.
0.
For
Right.
how many years?
From 1972 to now.
No way. Not a single one.
Handful of salutatorians, a handful of solid alumni, but I think that is symbolic about where we are today, right? And we've talked about this. I've heard you guys talk about this on the show. Of a lot of students come to Indiana for college, from around the United States, from around the world, right? But we're also really bad at keeping those students here. We're equally as bad as creating solid workforce development programs for our friends and peers who don't go to college to enter the workforce, make a livable wage, and climb the corporate ladder. And if you can't synchronize these two things, college and non-college professional development and growth, you'll lead to this type of story where it's like, okay, after the Holman family, after individuals like Greg Gibson, what happens? Where do you go next? How do you retain those individuals who graduate from the Scott College of Business, who pair that with an engineering type of degree from Rose Holman and can create incredible companies right there in your community?
That would be an interesting graph to see, or just like a chart of look through cities that are, let's say, 15 to 75,000 across the state of Indiana, specifically not in Indianapolis proper. Don't go Fishers, Carmel, whatever. Yeah. Look at the biggest industries in the Muncie, Terre Haute, Columbus, all those places.
Even throw Evansville down there too.
Evansville,
you know what
right?
I'm saying?
Yeah, and it's look at how many of those, and then take the top 5 locally grown businesses. What's one business in Terre Haute?
First Financial Bank.
First Financial Bank. The
They
CEO
sponsor everything.
Yeah.
They're amazing.
We love
they are
that.
amazing.
What?
That's a family that stayed, that went and got degrees and came back and
That
continues
is
to
it.
lead. that is my favorite example to use.
So that's the shtick I was getting to was look at these towns. Warsaw, Indiana. How many of those people go to Purdue, get an engineering degree, and then come back to work in they're big on orthopedics, right?
Yep.
Come back and work at the Zimmer Biomets of the world, or start their own companies that end up selling to Zimmer Biomet. That where the talent comes back. You have to have pride in your main street. You have to be building the life.
Belief in the city. Like they got to believe
in the city, in the community. I mean, this entire chapter of my life I call coming home to grow, right? To grow personally, to grow professionally, and to grow the community. And we talked about some population stuff earlier, and we danced around this. I really want to hit it. 92 counties in the state of Indiana. Do you know only about 10 of them account for the vast majority of our population growth? So what are these counties doing that other counties are not? And the harsh reality is, if you look, people want to go where they actually pay higher taxes because they're investing in their schools, right? You look at communities that pass school referendums, and now it's like, Terre Haute South, we used to be in the MIC. I remember we got second place in the MIC in boys swimming, and my best friend got knocked out in the first quarter by a Ben Davis running back. And I'm like, whoa, we shouldn't be in this conference. And then you follow, Avon's growth, Plainfield's growth, Brownsburg's growth. And you look at Hamilton County, you look at the Carmel schools and how much they are pumping into their facilities. Everyone's like, oh, why are they spending so much money on an aquatic center? I'm like, because they choose to do
because
that.
first day of school, there's an Olympian that arrives with a gold medal around her neck. Because the community is invested. People are moved from across, people move from across the country to go to Carmel.
To Swim City, USA.
Because of the amenities that they provided for their people in that community, right? And so, I always tell people chase quality of life if given the opportunity.
Let's talk about a guy who, when he was, I believe Scott was 26 or 27 when he became town manager of Fishers. Because they used to have a town manager, not a mayor.
Right. They weren't big. They didn't
late
incorporate
90s,
till
early 2000s.
This is just early. I think it's late 2000s.
Scott Fadness.
And then Fadness comes in. He grows that town so much. I love his redevelopment
Oh my gosh,
philosophy.
so wrong. I was so wrong. 2015.
Okay, I thought it was 16. Okay, yeah.
I was saying
they had to damn near make downtown again.
Yes.
And Westfield's doing that. Carmel had to redo downtown. Carmel had 10,000 people, or it really had 1,500 people in 1950. Now they have over 100,000.
Exactly.
So they need to create density in the community.
Boom. And to do density, you fight a couple of things. Obviously, you fight municipal finance, right? The economics behind it. But then you fight what I think a lot of, I hope your listeners look into, is the concept of YIMBY or NIMBY. Yes, in my backyard versus not in my backyard. Right? So how do you approach projects like a trail or like bringing in a business through what's called a developer-backed bond or growth at large? There's two ways to fight it. You can say, no, I like that green field. I can walk my dog in that green field.
Zionsville. There's only 6 hotel rooms in Zionsville. I believe that's the number. Don't totally fact check. Single-digit hotel rooms in Zionsville because they don't want that there. They're like multifamily development really hard because they want their Brick Street downtown Main Street feel, and that's what they've chosen to do, right? So I like what you're saying.
And it's and that's your choice. Yeah. And then for other communities to keep growing, it's like, hey, look, if we keep fighting off the same playbook, waiting for the next manufacturer, what's going to happen? We need to choose to say, no, yes, in my backyard. I want development. Right. I want large companies, advanced manufacturing, defense technology, innovation, medical research, to look at Terre Haute and say, wait, I've got 4 universities I can pull from locally. I'm an hour from Indiana University. I'm 2 hours from that school in the black and gold. I'm not too far away from Notre Dame, and Indianapolis is an hour away. I can recruit talent there.
Yeah.
Well, so that's what I sell when I meet these companies is we're investing in quality of life. We're building a brand new YMCA. Shout out to Lily. Thank you, Lily, for the grant. We're partnering with foundations, public dollars, private dollars to say, we actually know the playbook, right? I mean, we're just taking from another Super Bowl winning community looking across the Midwest saying, what are they doing? They're investing in the river. They're adding density. They're adding housing projects. And I just get so passionate because I see Terre Haute, Indiana, and I go, success for communities like Terre Haute is not just chasing Target and Buc-ee's. It is chasing a transformational approach to housing, to sidewalks, to road funding, to colleges and workforce development, and investing in schools.
Well, some of the smartest people in the state of Indiana spend at least 4 years in Terre Haute.
Yeah.
Rose Holman is obviously, Notre Dame is prestigious, very well known. Obviously, IU, talking about Purdue. But some of the smartest engineers in the world are developed right there in Terre Haute. And thinking of how you can, recruit, retain, and keep them. They spend the 4 best years of their life in Terre Haute. It's spend the next 40 best years of your life.
It's kind of like baseball. You're not going to bat 1,000. There's no way you keep it. If you look at their starting salary, the employment, you're like, I'm not going to hit all of them. But how can you recruit young people who want to do two things. One, work, and then the second, get a family and get a mortgage, because then it kind of locks them into that community,
they're
right?
in. Yeah,
you've got to build solid housing. You've got to have quality schools, so they want to put their kids through school there on top of just the employment.
You go talk to the senior class. Let's say they bring you in to give the 2025
I just talked to the senior class.
commencement speech. Yeah, what do you say to them? What's your sales pitch to Rose-Hulman and Indiana State seniors to stay in Terre Haute?
So I break it down two ways. I've got a high school themed conversation that I do, and then I have a college theme that I do for lectures at those universities as well as Indiana University. So I'll start with my kind of high school approach. I really talk about three things to them. Number one, friendship and mentorship, right? You are the average of the 5 people that you spend the most time with. You should constantly be evaluating those that are around you, saying, are they challenging me to be the best version of myself, to be humble, to have confidence but not cockiness, and to help those around me and be a good teammate? That's my high school pitch. Then I talk to them about faith. Do you have the personal faith to know that you will go through struggles, you will fail? I failed the Army's Ranger School before I was an Army Ranger, and I had to go back. And I went back with my bags, waited outside of a fence, hoping they called my name and would give me another chance to walk on. And they did. My religious faith. I'm a man of religion, right? That's why I'm a member of the Democratic Party, right? I know everyone launches on some of these social issues, but I read Leviticus and welcoming those who come from war-torn nations. And I read the New and Old Testament saying, okay, someone doesn't look like me. Someone might not love like me, right? And they're different, but that does not mean I'm going to hate or punish them. I'm going to welcome them. And if they choose to come to my faith, great. But I am taught to love one another, to love each other. And that conversation around faith and public policy is something that I do. And then the third I always talk about is like family. Like, do you have that family to support you? I've got an older brother who's a national champion boxer. I've got a younger sister who's an Olympian. I've got another sister who's a D1 swimmer.
I was
what are these
The Olympics was going on. He posted my sisters up right now for Cambodia.
Yeah.
For Cambodia. I'm like, what?
That's the American dream, I think, right? 2 immigrants, 2 different nations, getting citizenship, 4 kids.
And it's how you love this. You're talking about loving other people and like what you read from scripture. It's like, well, then how? Okay, you read these words, you know these things. How does that apply? And I think that's kind of what you're talking to.
I do want to, we have to go through the Army Ranger story.
Yeah, what happened?
Oh, yes. Yeah. Before we get that, I forgot about my college lecture. Shoot, I forgot the actual question. But the college phrase
we should tell the kids, man.
of why you're going to stay and why you should stay in the Hoosier State. One is opportunity. Opportunity, I break it down to employment, right? What are your work opportunities? 2, quality of life, and how do you pay for that quality of life?
Right.
We are cheaper than Chicago. We're cheaper than New York. We're cheaper than Austin, Texas for now. They're doing some really cool housing policies that I love. But what we have to start marketing is the Hoosier experience is you get that Midwest feel. You can still get in a car and drive to do something just as quickly as you can walk to do something. And it's modern and there's family opportunities here. And how do you sell that? Because yes, you need employment to go with it, right? We have a lot of good companies in the Hoosier State. I think Governor Holcomb spent just so many years doing an excellent job at recruiting very well-known companies to come here and start here. So, of course, I got to give him a shout out for that. But I look at what we offer, and I look at what other states offer, and I just think, man, we need to sell this. We need to drop this, Hoosier hospitality. No, we need to sell ourselves to the world and say this is the American dream in the Midwest.
We're too humble, and then we get offended when somebody says something about us.
We
don't. And I tell people that about their hometowns. If you don't come out of Terre Haute saying you love Terre Haute, this is what I like about it, then don't be mad when somebody says something about it, because you're not saying. I feel something about ISU. Like I rep ISU to the death, because I feel like IU, Purdue, Notre Dame, Michigan fans, they wear their shit, or they wear their stuff all the time. My fault, name.
We can say that.
Like. They wear their stuff all the time with pride. Like, I'm a Sycamore, I'm proud, so I'm going to rep it. And more people do. They like seeing it.
Yeah. 2 things. One, when you talk about, you can get in the car, drive, the number one thing we're going to hear is, what do you mean I have to get in the car and drive and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, that's not it. Like, if what you're looking for is like a walk through Central Park, like you're looking for mountains, looking for beaches, if that's what fires you up, then this isn't the right place for you.
Yep.
But if opportunity and impact, the number one thing I think for young people in Indiana, they have to be driven by impact. How old are you? Brandon?
29.
You're 29 years old and you're the mayor of a 60,000+ person city, right? I quit my job to go and start this media company and like interview people like you that are doing incredible things. Like, because I poured so much into the community, now the community is like rallied around. You can build this thing and you can make an impact. Did you know that Indiana has been a hub for sports innovation for over a century? Starting with the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, where pioneers tested game-changing tech like seatbelts and anti-lock brakes. That forward-thinking spirit is still in overdrive today, and Sports Tech HQ is at the center of it. They're on a mission to scout the most groundbreaking sports tech that is shaping the future of sports, and to bring those innovators right here to Indiana. Guess what? It's working. Sports Tech HQ already has 38 companies in its collective that call Indiana home, with 16 relocating from around the world in just the past year. Home to a world-class sports infrastructure, Indiana provides the perfect foundation for entrepreneurs to advance innovations that can change the game for fans, athletes, and teams. Sports Tech HQ is the leading global hub for an industry that is projected to reach $100 billion by 2030. Discover how these companies are driving the future of sports through Indiana's robust ecosystem of partners at sthq.org.
That leads great into the Ranger story, because I do look back at a period in my life when I was deploying a lot and I was living the dream, and I had that decision of, do you stay in or do you get out, chase your other dream? And I mean, I'm still in the National Guard as well. So, and when I was very young, when I was in 3rd grade is when I decided I wanted to do 2 things. 1, be mayor, and 2, join the Army Rangers. 2 things happened. 1, I was horrible in school. Horrible. And my teacher called my parents, like, how do I get him to settle down? And they're like, you just need to make him read, because if he's not active, he's going to yap. And I remember reading this book about government, and there's like 2 paragraphs or 2 sentences about local government. And they're like, oh, there's a mayor. And I asked my teacher, I'm like, oh, do we have a mayor? And she's like, yeah, we do. And I was like, oh, okay, I'm going to do that one day. And I think she was kind of kidding. Maybe she wasn't kidding. She was like, yeah, you could do it one day. Now stop talking to the girl next to you. And I was like, all right, I'm going to be mayor. What does that do? How do you impact the community? And as I got older, I just looked into it more and more. And I was like, no, I want to fight for these people.
Yeah,
I want to fight for this town that accepted a Asian and Jamaican immigrant and said, no, you're one of us. You're Hoshin, right? That to me just means the world.
Gave me chills, bro. Because like that's what everybody wants. When people come here, they want to be Hoosiers. They want to be a part of Indiana. And sometimes the rhetoric that gets spewed or what they hear makes it seem like we don't want them here. But when you're in these communities, like the love is so there that if we could kind of communicate that at the same time that we're like, you know what I'm saying?
And it's the classic, it's unfortunate, but it's like one tough experience taints the whole image for the
and
whole
we need
place.
it. Every city could use 1,000 immigrants.
And look,
today.
I've had a ton of tough experiences, like when it comes to handling race, right? Like I always joke, a lot of people who are racist do believe in equal opportunity. Because I look a little bit racially ambiguous, so they call me all kinds of slurs instead of just one slur. Right? You gotta take
Anyone
it.
Can get it.
You gotta
Anyone
take it with a joke a little bit.
No, you have to.
There
man.
are that those issues are prevalent in society, and if you don't believe it, you should see some of the messages I've received before, and frankly, some of the threats. And in 3rd grade, when I'm growing up, I look different. I want to be mayor. I also did something which I'm not telling any 3rd grader to do, and that's watch Black Hawk Down.
Okay.
I was like, I want to do that, right? The company in that movie is Bravo Company 3rd Ranger Battalion. At college, I did the ROTC program. I decided not to work and do the Guard, but instead just to only serve and be in the military. And I joined Bravo Company 3rd Ranger Battalion in real life.
Was this just you, or you have any homies with you who was like, let's do this together, or you just locked in?
It was just me.
This is what I'm going to do. Y'all do what y'all want. But.
And I met a ton of great friends in the military. I still talk to a lot of them. Had the opportunity to serve overseas not once but twice, to fight our nation's wars, to show that the concept of democracy is not just voting in the United States of America, but it's going across the nation saying, hey, look, if we don't keep our arm out to keep some of these problems away from our shores, they will come back. Right? And history has proven that. And I loved it. And I remember sitting down, my boss's boss, he's like, hey, you're okay at this. Like, do you want to stay in? And it was hard, right? Because I did want to come back. I wanted to get involved, not politically, but in public service. That's why I'm a mayor, right? That's why I've got a lot of friends from both sides of the aisle that are in the state legislature, and I don't want to do that.
Right.
Like, they sit there and, they argue, they talk about theoretical policy, and it's like, no, I want to be able to go help someone's life, right?
feel you.
And so I decided not to be a consultant in Chicago. That was a big offer that I had. And instead to put all my chips on the table and run for office. What do you do when you run for office? Well, you get your message out there, which requires a lot of fundraising, unfortunately, in today's modern political world. And if you can't, if you don't have the dollars, you got to go door to door a lot. And I went door to door a ton. People were like, "Kid, are you selling me blinds? Are you selling me health insurance?" He's like, "Sham wow, just wait, there's more."
Yeah, I'm running for mayor.
And I just did that. And I talked to people on their porch steps. I met people where they were at, not where I wanted them to be, right? Like I see the Democratic Party, the Republican Party, and I see a lot of individuals on cable TV telling America what they should think, what they should believe. That's not me, man. I want to meet you where you're at. Why are you thinking what you're thinking about your country or community? And I vehemently disagree with most people that I work with. But we can all fundamentally agree that we need to grow the Hoosier State and we need to grow Terre Haute, right? So it's like, how do you localize these issues? How do you talk about how you can help a community instead of fight on social media that way too many elected officials do? And I'm at fault for doing that at times as well. And I mean, I've been in a yoga studio meeting with a small business owner talking about, Vigo County's poor community public health rankings and how we can improve it. I've been on construction sites. I've been at a park. I've gone hunting with two individuals to talk about
You
parks and
started
recreation.
ISU NIT pregame watch
Yeah.
outdoor drinking thing. It was hosted by the city, by the mayor,
Yeah,
by the university. They never
hosted
really turned up.
Darties.
Yeah, hosted
Honestly,
Darties.
we
Mayor
hosted
Sakbun
Darties.
put the Darties on, and I was there,
Right?
and I'm like, and you were on the. I came there, homecoming. You're on the radio, you're sitting there doing a radio broadcast in the mix of everything. Everybody's drinking, having a great time. It's 7 a.m. in Terre Haute. It's homecoming. He's with the people, like talking.
Wait, what is the big bar?
The walk. Yeah, the walk.
Is it called just
The walk. He damn near on the walk doing that.
I do. I stop at a couple of bars. I always say hello to folks. I do the homecoming parade. This year, a couple of fraternity guys were outside the Verb. They're like, "Hey, will you take this Jello shot?" And I'm like, "Absolutely, man! Like you guys are celebrating your university. You chose to come to Terre Haute. I'm not gonna act like I'm better than you because I'm mayor. Like, shoot, when I was in college, I was doing 10 times worse. So it's like you want to be there because homecoming's great because you've got alumni, you've got students, and it's like, let's just celebrate Indiana State for a day.
And you have to double click into that because people will see that the headline or whatever, local mayor takes Jello shot. They're like, oh my God. But then it's like what it actually does is brings together your alumni base back, gets them connected with the community. They're going to spend more dollars if they're having fun. If your homecoming's terrible, you're not going to get alumni back and they're not going to be a part of that. I do have to give credit to this third grade teacher. Okay.
Same.
Because so easily people can make big impacts, positive or negative. Had the third grade teachers up, and you'll never be mayor, like blah, 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 like all these, like that could have stuck with you.
Yeah.
I have a similar story. Okay. When I was in second grade, we did what do you want to be when you grow up? And I actually haven't told this story in the podcast yet, and I love to drop new ones.
Let's go.
I was in second grade. What do you want to be when you grow up? And I said, I want to be president of the United States. I was like, that is the job for me. And this second grade teacher said, oh, Nate, sweetie. So I was adopted. I was born in the country of Georgia and adopted from Russia.
Okay.
And she said, you weren't born in the United States. Like, you can never be president. And it was second grade me was like, what do you mean? Because we had just done show and tell, and I had I was in an orphanage in Russia. Like, I was adopted when I was 9 months old. Don't remember any of it.
I didn't even notice.
Yeah, I haven't dropped this one. And from that day, I vowed I was the class president all the way through. And I did everything that I could to be like, I'm going to prove her wrong. And I still can't be the president of the United States. But I had the fire to go try to disprove this thing.
Yeah.
And you had the fire to go make this happen because you got that positive reinforcement. But so many little kids, they might hear what could be a throwaway talk from someone having a bad day, and they don't believe that they can go do this thing. They don't believe they can go serve in the company from Black Hawk Down, right, and achieve their dreams, or go become mayor.
Yeah,
and
that's why I spend so much time with our elementary schools. Our police chief, our fire chief, and a lot of young men who work for the city and young women. But we go to these elementary schools. Yes, we do the reading, we do the lessons, but we also play basketball. I'll play basketball in a full suit. With elementary school, not high school, because they could totally beat me. And it's a short goal and I can dunk. But we just connect with these young kids. And when we do that, though, we also bring in the nonprofit camps that have summer programs. So that way, I mean, these are kids that are struggling to eat during the summer. And when they lose that structure of school and positive reinforcement, that's, if you look at the exact data, you can see when they choose to self-select out of the path to success. So it's like, well, let's take this energy, this fun, let's get them into summer programs, let's get them in our parks. I am so passionate about parks. I'm so passionate. You know, kids used to be outside 2 hours a day. Now it's 15 minutes, right? And I always say, I want to beat TikTok. I want to beat the mayor. I want to be the mayor who invested in basketball courts and playgrounds and youth programming that got kids back outside.
When was the last time you saw a kid climbing a tree?
Dude, I was just talking about climbing a tree just the other day.
Actually,
man.
not too long ago. There was also a cat in that tree, and there was a 911 incident. But you know,
what
we won't go
doesn't
into
this guy
details.
do? What doesn't he do?
But it's important for kids to see, you know, all of us really, when you go to a school and to know that like that kid that's yapping. Like I was voted most likely to host a talk show. I was just talking in middle school. But they see us like, okay, he's kind of doing what he wants, and he looks like me. He's from this community. People from Bourbon see you like, okay, like, all right, he's really doing that. I can do it too. People see you in Terre Haute, and it's not like you just came out of nowhere. No, I grew up right here. I grew up in Indiana. So don't think that you can't do nothing because I'm doing it.
And that goes back like to the original point where if what really gets you jazzed up is climbing a mountain.
Yeah.
Well, if it's climbing a mountain or swimming at the beach, that's what you got to go do. If making an impact and like doing it as quickly and as meaningfully as possible is what fires you up, you can do that here. And that's what you have to be driven by. And that's what a lot of the most successful Hoosiers are driven by, impact. We have to get the story. So you fail Army Ranger School?
Yeah, so I was after college, I went straight to Fort Benning, Georgia. You have what's called IBOLIC, Infantry Basic Officer Leader Course. I was the #1 graduate, and I'm like, man, I'm set. But to do well in the military and the infantry, you've got to have a Ranger tab. Going to Ranger school is different than the Ranger regiment. I go to Ranger school. I got knocked out like the second day.
Whoa. Okay, wait. So
how do you get knocked out?
Give us the 48 hours.
You got to do like
Take us through the 48
a
hours.
PT test. So you got to do, push-ups, sit-ups, and run. I made it through that. I did all the physical stuff. And then you have to do like tasks. Like you got to assemble a weapon under a set amount of time. But it's all in an order. And it's about paying attention to detail. And I was just a go guy. And I didn't pay attention to detail. And I messed up these tasks.
Yeah.
And so I go back to another portion of the base, and they're like, look, you can go do your Army job, or you can wait a couple weeks and try again. And this entire time I have a bald head. And I'm so happy that I did not meet my wife then because I look horrible.
Hey, what's wrong with bald, dude?
Well,
Come on,
hey, drop the bald head pic in the YouTube clip. Yes.
I have it on. If you look it up, look up Outside Magazine, Brandon Sakbun Ranger School. I go back. And I walked on. They're like, a few people didn't show up. So like, we have room for a few more. And I made it through in 62 days, which is the shortest amount of time you could do it. It was a very huge learning experience. You get starved. You have to stay up late. It's all about teamwork and how do you close with and destroy the enemy in the worst possible conditions. And during this experience, there's this guy with like facial hair, and you couldn't really have facial hair. You always had to shave. I'm like, who are you? You keep asking me questions.
Right.
He's a reporter for the Outside Magazine, and he's writing about students in Ranger School. And I'm like, oh, so like that entire journey is documented in that magazine.
Oh, nice. That's nice.
The people I did it with. And I get done, and I'm like, great, I want to, join the 82nd Airborne and deploy instantly. And I got passed up. I had all the credentials, but someone got that spot instead of me. That is a picture of me bald.
You sound like Isaiah Thomas talking about the dream team.
Yes.
I met the criteria.
They picked someone else because that guy's dad knew the general and I didn't.
Hey, that's how it be, man.
And they shipped me to Fort Irwin, California, where I didn't deploy for 16 months. I just worked with units coming in to train them for deployment.
Damn. So you want to be deployed, and you're just there watching people show up, get deployed,
train with them, and then they go. So while I'm over there, I get an email from the Ranger Battalion saying, "Hey, look, we really think you should try out to be an Army Ranger. So you can go through Ranger school, but that doesn't mean you're a Ranger, right? You're not in the Ranger Regiment. This is the Special Operations, and this is a qualification that you need to be in it." So I go back to Fort Benning, Georgia. I try out to be in the Rangers. Was fortunate enough to be selected. Had the best 3-year experience in the United States military.
Take us through what that process, because I know it's tough. You know, like the Army Rangers and Ranger School
Yeah.
and going through that is I think a lot more people, I don't know, maybe not a lot more, like no buds and no Navy SEALs.
That's
and like
true.
the Special Forces, like this is the Army's equivalent of Navy SEALs,
it's,
right?
You know, it's a direct action, right? You're a lethal fighting force. You work a lot with a group called Delta, as well as, you know, you're working with the SEALs. There are some NDAs about the training experience.
Is this the one, you can, if you can't say, you can't say, is this the one where they like stick you out in the woods and you have to like track this whole thing down with like.
There is some wood sticking and some finding of points. Like,
Yeah,
you know, like,
okay.
No further questions.
I mean, dude,
Sometimes you sit there.
David Goggins reveals like the whole thing in his book.
I
dude.
can't stand David Goggins. I'm like, you just wrote the book about this. There was the mystique. But, you know, honestly, though, I will say this. Like, when you're going through all this training, the selection timeline, and working out to get into these programs, there were times when I'm like sitting there like, it's 3 a.m. I'm just carrying heavy stuff on my back. Like, why? Right?
Yeah.
The United States of America, baby. That's why. Like, if you don't have a good
What
why,
an answer. What an answer.
like, if you're not waking up every day, just jazz, like, this is it. This is what I want to do in the world. You ain't going to make it.
Yeah.
And I meet a lot of young people like, oh, I want to be in office. Okay, why do you want to be in office? Well, I want to change what's going on. And I don't like Trump, or I don't like Kamala, and I want this. I'm like, nah, man, that's not it. If you're not waking up every day saying, I want to change my country for the better, I want to change my community for the better, I want to fight for these people, it's not going to work out. I'm the type of public servant and politician, I'm fighting for Hoosiers, right? I'm not fighting against one group or another group. I try to be pragmatic with policy making. And to do that, to have that love, have that passion, leads to strong public policy. In Terre Haute right now, you can get on a city bus for free.
Yeah, I saw
And
you
you
did
can go
that.
around the
That's
community.
tough. That's tough.
In Terre Haute right now, we are investing in, quote, the rich neighborhoods and the rich parks, just as much as we're investing in the poor parks and the neighborhoods that haven't seen transformational investments in years. If you look at our home building, we're building in strong white collar neighborhoods, and then we're building in the hood.
And I think some people, like in those neighborhoods that have lacked so much love for so long, they kind of get skeptical when they see the investment.
Because they feel left behind.
You know, and they're like, is this to push me out? Is this what it's like? No, we're going to try to make this area better. And it's going to improve. There's issues with home ownership. That sometimes, if you're a homeowner in the area, you're going to be a direct beneficiary. But if you're a renter, it may be tougher. But like, no, we want this neighborhood to be nice for you, really, for the city.
Because
like,
you deserve that same quality experience as individuals in a gated community.
Exactly.
Right?
And I think that when you're growing one of these smaller Midwestern towns, you do sometimes have to get more creative. And you have to figure out solutions. Like, it's just, as I look through small towns in Indiana, like all the different creative stuff, like if you just start hosting First Fridays, like, yes, that does something, and it's a small piece of it, but it's not going to, like, you know, you're not going to get 100 new college graduates because you're hosting First Friday. Respectfully.
Yeah.
So what are some creative ideas or things that you're trying to bring to life in Terre Haute?
So one thing, actually, you brought up home ownership. We work with a program called Club 720 that helps first-time home buyers feed directly into the housing market with down payment assistance. On top of that, we synchronize home buying with HR departments and how they recruit people for jobs. And on top of that, we synchronize new people coming in for jobs with a program where new employees from different companies get to meet up and get to experience fun things to do in Terre Haute.
Community, sticky.
Yeah,
Exactly.
Yeah, that's
So
what keeps people there.
We've got all these buckets here, and then the last bucket that I really, really want to get figured out. And the mayor is not in charge of the school corporation, right? That's a superintendent. The city council is not in charge. That's a school board. But I love working with county government, which is different than city government, state government, and the school board in trying to find a way to fund schools, to build quality facilities in Terre Haute, Indiana, because they need it. The kids deserve it. Like, I look at Indiana sometimes, and it just riles me up. I'm like, every dollar that is spent for jails, in building jails, I think $1.50 should be forced to go into schools.
Well, in Terre Haute, the public schools that's it for high school. Right?
That's it.
That's it. The community's got to be.
There's no
there was
schools.
like a talking history. There was like the Schultz schools.
Schulte, Garfield, Wiley.
Before consolidation, they were all spread out,
now
but
it's
it's been public schools has been. That's Terre Haute.
Three schools.
West T, baby,
West
don't
T,
leave them out.
North and South.
People forget about the
Don't
Vikings.
forget about West T, dog.
Terre Haute North just made it to the semi-state in basketball, and that team could shoot the three. Todd Wolfley, I mean, that offense is phenomenal. Great team.
Are they the
Terre Haute
Patriots?
South. They're the Patriots.
Braves,
Braves.
Vikings.
Yeah, the Braves just got a great football
that's good
coach.
stuff. I know you value that.
The Vikings, their baseball lineage is absolutely wild for such a small school. And you see that culture, and it's like, okay, we got to provide that experience for future generations. And sometimes it might not mean wearing a Terre Haute South letter jacket. Sometimes it might be having hard conversations about the data and about total kids at the school corporation and doing something transformational like building a new school, which provides new amenities. And sometimes it's investing in the facilities you have. And I'm not saying it's one or the other. What I'm saying is the experience that kids have in Terre Haute needs to be better. And I want to fight for that. I want to fight for that statewide. Like, it doesn't matter if you live in Terre Haute or not. Like, ask yourself, man, are my kids able to walk to a park? Are my kids able to go on a date in an area that's safe in town if they're in high school? Are they able to enjoy high school and athletics and academics? And we should want more for our kids than we had.
I do want to touch on the idea of a program where you're bringing adults in that are maybe taking a job at whatever the corporation might be and getting them connected. Because making friends as an adult is hard. It's hard in Indianapolis where there's a ton of adults.
Yes.
And I talk to my friends that live up in northern Indiana, up in the South Bend area, and it's like, if someone moves in and takes a job in South Bend, making those first couple friends can be very challenging. And if you don't get them with like a sticky community, it's so easy after your year-long lease or whatever is up to be like, I'm going back to where I know people. So getting them plugged into your community. Mm-hmm. How are you getting people plugged in?
It's great. It's like a 4-month program where you do everything from a ropes course at the Children's Museum to a happy hour and some appetizers with elected officials to you go to our museums, you go to our musical opportunities, you walk downtown, and you even do team building challenges. We do a similar program for our interns, right? For the interns at Thompson Thrift, at Great Dane, at Saturn Pet Care, at GE Aviation, at Union Health. The interns for Indiana State University, interns for the city do it. I mean, we open it up to all of our large and small companies. We're partnered with the Chamber of Commerce on it. To be honest, they do most 99% of the staff work on this. And I love our local Chamber of Commerce because they are embracing this idea of, community and quality of life helps recruit talent. You need talent to successfully run some of these businesses, right? And it's so interesting because you see people at that first meeting and they're kind of like, oh my gosh, am I in school again?
Right,
cool, fun facts about you, right?
Yeah.
And then by the end of it, it's like, oh no, they're actually hanging out with that person.
You see John in the grocery store, you're like, oh, what's up, dude?
Or after, I remember ISU when a friend who was on the football team, just a dude, we was vibing in class, I was damn near I gotta get your number, dude. We gotta hand I don't know if we're on that level yet, bro. But I'm trying to hang out. Let's get a drink, dude. I feel like you're cool people.
Well, one, I love all the things we've talked about. We've covered some amazing ground. As we were starting to think about wrapping the show up, even though I feel like we could talk for 3 hours about this. Sampson, from Indy, you show up day one. Obviously, you go out to play football.
Yeah.
But you show up day one in Terre Haute. What was your perception going in, and what was your perception coming out?
I remember when I first went on my visit, I felt like it was a city that was back in time a little bit, just how it was set up. But also when I got there, I realized it was a city that I could walk through. And because Indianapolis wasn't a city really where I could walk. You know what I'm saying? From where I grew up and what I knew. And so out in Terre Haute, it was great just walking around the campus. I was out there in the summers. We did football workouts, and that's it. We didn't have to take classes. So I'd work out at 7 a.m. and have the whole rest of the day. Walk down to the Wabash River. I was going to ask you about that. See, Native American influence. Walk by, just get a sense or feel for the city. And I feel like it's a city that
That's just because you're Sampson and
man.
You're different. You're different. The average kid.
Let me show you. I'll show Sakbun probably already seen these. But I got the Terre Haute. I got the 40 and 41. That's Mount Vernon right there. That's my mom's hometown.
This is
that's
huge.
The crosswords, bro.
Yeah. This is why we say it's the crossroads of America.
Wait, show
You
the
look at
camera.
40 and
Show
41.
Bro, you see the 40, you see the 41. That's Wabash and that's 7th Street. But that was the old like crossroads of America. So like I would stand there, go to the Max Ehrman statue. He's this great poet from Terre Haute. Had all these little life guides written on there. He wrote this poem called The Desiderata by Max Ehrman. But he also has a quote that says, Terre Haute is the world in miniature. It is, bro. And there's a documentary that came out from Baylor's about Terre Haute. And I just I fell in love with the city. And like, even just going to the Wabash, just sitting there and being like,
Do you know that?
Dang, this mattered.
So Max Ehrman, the poet, DePaul grad.
Okay.
Okay. Shout out Tigers.
Wait,
I knew that I knew his name. I was like, where have I heard that?
Yeah, but he's tough, bro. Like,
Awesome poet.
Like, I mean,
But you're so unique that you wanted to get like immersed in the culture of Terre Haute.
I got to know where I'm at.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
So you're going there, right? And you went and did all this stuff.
Yeah.
But like first opinion, you said it was a little bit slower, like kind of like going back in time a little bit.
Yeah.
And then 4 years later, as you leave, what were your feelings towards Terre
You can
Haute?
do anything there. Like I felt like I just felt like the man in Terre Haute, but also because I loved it there, and they love me back when I walk in and like to different places that I frequent, like Cackleberries. They'll still recognize me.
Yeah.
Like George, I'll call in. Like I'll be flying down before they close. If I gotta get to Terre Haute for a reason, I'm like, hold a burrito for me. I'm gonna be there like 5 minutes after y'all close, but hold me the same burrito y'all used to make the football team. Hold that for me. And so like there's community there from the people who grew up in Terre Haute to the people that are coming in. I think like it's a city that allows you to be yourself and explore your interests. And it's not overwhelming, but it's a city, you know?
Brandon, you obviously left, went to college at IU, then end up, joining the military, and then you make the decision to come back. What really influenced that decision to come back to Terre Haute?
I think what really drove me back is I remember reading an article by one of our local reporters, and it was really eye-opening. They basically rated all the small towns in the United States of America, and we just were not doing well on any of these rankings. And to a lot of Sampson's points, like there's a lot of good in Terre Haute, right? But if you don't continue to reinvest in yourself, good eventually becomes stale, right? Buildings eventually become dilapidated. And I was like, wait a second. If we don't go back and invest in the YMCA, which is on the river, if we don't redevelop the parcels in and around the river, we won't be Fort Wayne or South Bend or Owensboro, Kentucky. We will just be, Terre Haute was cool. It was fun. And, then the casino legislation had passed and a new casino was going to be built in Terre Haute. And I'm like, okay, there is a chance here. If we really focus on redevelopment, on blight elimination and housing, and we synchronize public and private partnerships, I think we can get this place to explode. And I started just doing a ton of research, right? Like I'm a huge nerd. I don't have a ton of hobbies because every hobby I do, I go all in.
Bro, when did you feel like you could win? Like I can run for mayor and I can win.
So I had about 2 months left in the military, and I was like, okay, I need to make this decision. And I got on LinkedIn and I looked at the previous administration, people who worked at their LinkedIn, and I was like, now I can produce better policy, but also I can communicate this better.
Yeah.
Right. I sized up my opponent. I did some enemy research, right? What's the battlefield look
we
like?
He was digging. He was sleeping on the internet.
I did the full army intelligence thing.
He was creeping.
I was like, okay, what are the voting population? What are the numbers? How do I get myself out there? And I called a friend, said, hey, can I get your dad's number? His dad had been bigger in politics. He's like, yeah, he'll talk with you. And I was like, hey, I think I can do this. And he's like, well, the numbers are there, but you're going to have to work really hard. And I'm like, well, if I treat this remotely the same that I treated being an Army Ranger, nobody will outwork me.
Dude,
and I say that all the time. Like, if you're running for office, like you should, when you go to sleep at night, be like, okay, what did I do to get elected today? What did I do to show this community that it is worth it taking 15 minutes to give me a shot because I'm fighting for them? And I just relentlessly attacked it. But what I also would do is when I'm meeting with citizens, some who could vote, some who couldn't vote, I would just meet and chat with everyone. I'd be like, okay, where are we sitting? Right? We're sitting downtown. We don't have 100% occupancy of our first floor stores. We've not invested in the infrastructure here, and we need to tear down these next 5 dilapidated buildings or reinvest in them. We have 2 options here. And they'd be like, whoa, I'm like, yeah, I mean, I would really research the budgets, what other cities were doing, and just say, hey, here are 3 things we can do in Terre Haute to get better. And I always talked about Terre Haute. Why Terre Haute, Terre Haute, Terre Haute? Because it is true that it is very divisive in America right now with politics.
Oh my goodness.
It is super divisive, and it's turning people away. I saw one study, 42% of Americans are independents. And they say these 2 political parties are not doing enough to convince me that I need to be a Democrat or a Republican. And so, you know, I really want to close with a political message to those who are involved in politics or who want to be, or those who are on the fence. And it's like, meet people where they're at, not where you want them to be. Don't spend so much time branding the other side as baby killers or as, oh, they're way too conservative, and just start saying, okay, hey, look, you know, I love everyone, right? Like I want you to have the freedom to grow up, to raise your family, you know, have a job in this community. And it means we're going to agree to disagree. It means we're going to say, hey, look, fundamentally, we're not going to see eye to eye on gun control, right? Like I carry all the time, right? I own several guns. I love firearms, but it also took you like a minute, 60 seconds to reload a musket in the 1700s.
Right. Like
how many rounds can you fire from an AR-15 now in present day society? And I'm not saying ban AR-15s.
And I think these are things that we kind of fundamentally like agree on from a
yeah.
but things
it's
just
like
get
we should
so,
have a conversation
But
about
it's
that.
so what's the word? Like ones and zeros. Whatever that word. Binary.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
so binary. It's like you have to be 100% this or 100% that, and that's tough.
It's like I'm 100% United States of American
makes
people.
sense. Yeah.
Amen.
So
there it is.
well, I don't know if I was gonna just ask you just real quick about Terre Haute, because you're there, you see development, you're talking about meeting people where they're at. Like, where do you feel like Terre Haute is at? Like, are they people ready to jump into the next 25 years, or do you feel like
We're getting closer.
there's still people trying to hold on to what Terre Haute was, or just they can only see what it is now?
Yeah, you know, I think we're getting closer. Like a lot of our housing projects have just exploded. And they see physical construction, and they see streets being improved, and they see parks being invested in. They're like, okay, I do believe in this. I bought into this. But being in politics, you got to win the Super Bowl 4 years in a row to get elected. You can't just win it once and then slack off for 3 years. Like, you need to continually provide for your constituency. And I think what's going to get us there, and I touched on this earlier, is now a school plan and say, hey, here's how we're going to invest in our kids. And if you don't consistently look for feedback, you will not lead through listening. And that's a very important conversation that I have with leaders, is like, you need to take bottom-up feedback. Like, I believe in government efficiency. We have changed our staffing and what equipment we use for a number of departments that government employees have changed. Because we took feedback from guys and gals who'd worked there for 30 or 35 years. Right? We didn't just cut things. No, we developed a plan and said, here's how we're saving taxpayer dollars to produce more opportunity for Hoosiers in the 812. Right? And I think we're getting closer as a community. Of course, there's doubt. There's always going to be doubters. There's always going to be, you know, people who comment on the city's Facebook calling me Sakbun. But like, so what? Like, I'm not going to worry.
And you know, you care,
three guys,
and you care, and you know you care.
Like, you got to worry about the thousands of people who, you know, believe that Terre Haute's best days are in front of us.
You do, man. What a guy.
And I love how you talk about no one's going to outwork you. I think I looked at the number. The number is 10,000 doors. You knocked on 10,000 doors during your campaign. That's work.
I went through 2 shoes.
Just footing it around the town. That real Walker earned it. My girl Hunley did that. Like Andrea talked. They told her you got a long shot. Senate District 46, Indiana. I think that's House District 46. But they told her the same thing. There's, you know, it's gonna be an uphill battle for you. She said, I walk up hills. It's nothing.
I got those on clouds, baby.
On clouds.
Let's go.
I walk up hills.
Well, as we wrap up, I have a couple fun segment questions to ask for you. First, guys, as an honorary Hoshian and a lifelong Hoshian, what's the Mount Rushmore of Terre Haute?
Oh.
Men, women, people. Yes, people from Terre Haute. Like, who are the big 4 that everyone needs to know? Like, hey, these people are from our Hoshians.
Terre Haute, Indiana, man. I don't.
You got to put Larry Bird on there.
Larry's on there.
Oh, okay.
We
that's fair.
gotta claim him. Like,
we
have
gotta
to.
claim him.
We gotta claim Larry Bird, man. I'm trying to think.
Scatman Carruthers.
Scatman Carruthers.
That's a great call. That's a great call.
That's 2 good pulls.
I gotta go Eugene Debs, because Eugene Debs ran like. Eugene Debs ran for president, and the things that Eugene Debs, people know Debs all across the world. We don't talk about him enough in Indiana at all. People in Terre Haute don't even, some people don't know that the house is there. Like, and the things that he was fighting for, just like regular work hours, child labor, just like things that are so much common sense now, he was jailed for, but he was passionate. And like talking about people commenting Sakbun, like, he was thrown in jail for the right
multiple
thing,
times
for saying and doing the right thing.
If you follow the Eugene V. Debs house on Twitter, they're hilarious. They just have hilarious content.
Yeah.
But he's on there.
No, yeah. So Debs is Debs. I'll put Debs on there.
And then I think you put Tommy John. I mean, he is great guy. I met him a year ago.
Tough.
I gave him the keys to the city.
Let's go.
And
That has
he
to feel
was
cool.
so funny. I mean, I was like, I want to spend days with this man.
Yeah.
The Bionic Man, Tommy John, proud Hoshian.
John, man.
Those are four really, really good Hoshians. You got to give an honorary shout out to our boy Richard Goodall, right? Like, dude, viral fame.
Heart of gold.
Viral
Yeah,
fame.
dude.
Now,
Yeah,
if
yeah,
you ever
dude.
get a chance, just
Right back at school
talk
next
to
week,
Richard.
man. Right
I
back to
mean,
work.
It's like it gives me chills thinking about everything he's gone through in life and how he chased and followed his dream. Don't stop believing, of course. And I just being on that show,
Dude,
I was
that's
like,
great.
that represents the Hoshian spirit.
No, it does, man.
Dude, it's like this janitor from Terre Haute.
It's just
and
so Terre Haute.
He just crushes
It's just so
it.
Terre Haute. Like, of course he's from Terre
Dude,
Haute.
he opens his mouth, and I just remember, like, my jaw drops.
Just a small town girl, man.
Yeah, what a
that's
guy.
great.
Okay, as we continue to wrap up the show, Brandon, this question is brought to you by our friends at Or Fellowship. They're a great organization here in Indiana helping develop young business leaders across the state. What advice would you give to your 22-year-old self?
I would stick to that line I talked about earlier. You are the average of the 5 people that you spend the most time around. So continually evaluate your friendships, your relationships, your mentors, and say, okay, who is pushing me to be the best version of myself? And are you doing the same vice versa? Like, are you close enough with an individual, a coworker, a friend to say, hey, like, that's not who you are. Like, don't do that. And I think that's very important, especially in a higher leadership position where you are under the microscope. Like, you know, there's some conservative media hosts who always look for an opportunity to just bash me on radio talk shows. And I'm like, man, like, why am I getting held to such a higher standard than other individuals? Don't shy away from that. If you are, own it and live to a higher standard and just prove that, okay, it's okay. You know, we're going to keep growing and being better.
My friends and I, my best friend specifically, have a saying where it's be a friend would like to have. And it just goes like, it's like
great.
the way I show up is like, I try to be the friend that I would want my friends to be for me. So like when you're calling them out or you're supporting them or doing whatever it is, be a friend would like to have. As we keep going on, we're going to talk specifically around Terre Haute. We'll go back and forth now because Sampson already got that question on his. So we'll go. Sampson, what is a hidden gem in Terre Haute?
A little spot that I like is Markle Mill. You know that spot up there?
Yes.
That's a cool little spot. It's
Have you been recently?
Yeah, no, I haven't been recently. Have y'all
It's
done?
wonderful.
Okay.
They've done a ton of improvements.
But it's cool. It's like this dude, he fought in a war and the government gave him some land and he built a mill there and like you can still see the remnants of it, kind of a little waterfall. It's kind of ducked off like in the city. I like the water out in Terre Haute. And so I like being by the Wabash. I like being by there. But the Children's Museum is great. The new Larry Bird Museum is really cool. I went in there and it's like, just pop in, learn about Larry Bird, pop out. It's something that's needed for the downtown. But those are a few little things I like to do there.
Brandon, what's a hidden gem in Terre Haute?
My big one is Wise Pies Pizza.
Solid.
So over right around, I think it's 5th and Wabash, just a couple blocks from the spot that Sampson was talking about earlier, 7th and Wabash. Really nice pizza joint, but if you sit outside, when you go inside, you see the old building, you see what the building used to be, how there was a ton of department stores, boutique shops, and then if you're sitting outside, you can see First Financial Bank, Fortune 500 company in Terre Haute. You can see some of the newer apartment complexes that have been put up, the new mixed-use spots, and you can also see construction in our downtown. And you know, we're building hotels with outdoor pools and bars and bodegas. We are fixing the main street. And I think it just really like that, like sitting there eating that great pizza. I mean, it's phenomenal. It's so good. My wife and I love it. You just see everything around you. And it's like we're blending 1950s, 1960s architecture with modern day urban planning and sidewalks are getting
And an
fixed.
IPA, baby. Let's go.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, man. Wabash Ave is it. Like, I feel like that's a spot, like, I don't know, not enough people with the interstate.
Or-
they don't hit it enough.
I can't say just one. Sorry.
Of course not. It's a mayor.
Afterburner Brewing Company. Oh, a couple
I
of
know
Air Force
nothing.
vets. They put it together. It's just kind of tucked away. It's just a few blocks downtown. They actually have a huge festival, Hops and Vines. It's a huge showcase for breweries across the Midwest to come to. Outdoor music, great beer. If that's not your thing, well, it's just a nice community event, and you can walk around and see a ton of people, see what Terre Haute has to offer, and it's all in this like gravel parking lot with a bunch of tents. It's so much fun.
Okay, Brandon, who is a Hoosier hero that you look up to?
Actually, Dick Lugar and Evan Bayh, and those two types of just like statesmen, pragmatic public servants, where yes, they were partisan, and then they were focused on progress at times, and they always blended this concept of what type of policies help the Hoosier State. I definitely think those two speak out a ton to me, and then the other one, Caitlin Clark.
Come on, man. Let's go.
WNBA
That matters.
is Indianapolis.
That matters, man. That matters.
What she's been able to do to grow the game. I mean, I see little girls and little boys just out there like, wow, the fever, like basketball's still going. Like I just saw Tyrese Halliburton, knock on wood, win an NBA championship. And now I'm going to watch Caitlin Clark do it. Because there's that awkward time in sports where baseball has not yet hit the playoffs.
Yep.
And you're like, well,
The dead period,
preseason's going to
right.
start. What do I do for football or basketball? The WNBA has just totally rocked that portion.
Fire.
Dude, she's here.
I love it.
Caitlin Clark is here in the town.
Sampson, who's a Hoosier hero that you look up to?
Right now, I'm like Madam CJ Walker. And, we talk about her a lot, of course, but, she invested in Indianapolis and that, like, she left a legacy here. And she was only here for 6 years. I tell people this all the time. Like, if you hate Indiana, you don't want to be here, whatever, you're here. Be here. And then if you're going to go somewhere else, go somewhere else. But be here. Like, be here. And Madam CJ, like, when I played football, there was a saying, be where your feet are, that our coach used to always say, right? And so, like, be where your feet are. You're in Indianapolis, Indiana. She's invested. She's using how centrally located we are to build her business, catering to her community. She wasn't worried about getting business from people that didn't look like her. She really was just like, okay, there's a need in my community. I can fulfill it.
Yeah, it's like start now.
Start.
Like even if you want to go, make movies in
she has a
Hollywood,
quote,
make a movie here.
She has a quote. It says, I gave myself a start by giving myself a start. That's like,
Bang. There it is.
So like we just started.
Final question of the day, gentlemen. Usually we ask this about Indiana, but we're going to get specific on Terre Haute. What is one thing the world needs to know about Terre Haute, Indiana?
I'll just say one thing people may not know. It's French. It means high ground. It was an advantageous position during like 1810, 11, 12. Fort Harrison was there. And the river played a big factor. But Terre Haute is French, just like Vincennes is French over there on the Wabash. You see how the French spell the Wabash with the O, Wabash. Look at that. Type Wabash with an O
We
first.
still have an elementary
Yeah,
school.
type Wabash with an O first. It's French out there. So that's what Terre Haute is. That word is Wabash. Look at his face. Cameron, look at his face. That word is Wabash. Terre Haute means high ground. It's French. And so that's just a little OG history.
So I used to say, the Coca-Cola bottle.
Yeah.
Now
Well, you
I
got to
actually
say that. You have to
Yeah,
say
yeah.
that. Tell everyone that
Birthplace.
real quick.
Yeah, I mean, it's the birthplace of the Coca-Cola bottle.
Yeah.
And, manufacturing. But now, I've really pivoted the last 6 months. Do you know the Wabash River has like the straightest amount of just like straight waterway, which is perfect for crew, perfect for rowing. Back in the day, there's a really, really good for shipping lanes. And I'm like, as a society, watching towns grow around cities, watching towns get back to that. I think that Wabash River and Fairbanks Park and what's going on there, the YMCA and some redevelopment opportunities in the mill, the concert venue, I think it just shows and highlights opportunity in the Hoosier State. And I think it's a really good metaphor of what's to come for the community. And other communities have invested in their river, but I just think it's a really it's a physical thing you can see to highlight our community.
Gentlemen, I appreciate you coming on. This is your reminder if you're listening and you love this episode, because I love this episode. Make sure you leave 5 stars. That would make a lot of people happy. And if there are, as we talked about Terre Haute and dove in to everything in Terre Haute, if there's another town across the state of Indiana and you want us to bring on an expert there, hit us up. Let us know, gentlemen. I really appreciate you coming on and sharing everything there is to know about Paradise, from the birthplace of the Coca-Cola bottle, to the Wabash River, to the Sycamores and the Fighting Engineers.
Right. All the way to Brandon Sakbun,
and
man.
Sakbun. And I think that when they replay this podcast in, 100 years, maybe the Mount Rushmore will have changed.
Hey,
Maybe it will change.
come on,
I
man.
appreciate you guys. Thanks for stopping by.
Thank you.
Appreciate you.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Get In. If you like what you heard, make sure you leave us a review wherever you listen to podcasts. This show is made possible by our friends up at Sweetwater. Whether you're looking to start a podcast or take your content to the next level, click the link in the description to see all of my gear recommendations at sweetwater.com. If you want a behind-the-scenes look at everything we're doing across the state, make sure you follow me on Instagram and TikTok at Nate Spangle. Thank you so much for listening and being part of what makes the Hoosier State great. We'll see you next time here on Get In.